65 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, back for this 3 o'clock hour very rapidly. This is from Raymond. Blame it on the NIL thing. I mean, just think about it. Buying of kids big money to go bigger programs. Y'all really think there's nothing fishy going on. That's why they're leaving recruiting and money. Well, we have said that many, many different times. And yes, it strengthens all of that if you're Oklahoma and also Texas if you get to the SEC. This is randomly on some of the YouTube comments from David. Still not sure it's a done deal for Texas to get in. A&M and Missouri are on record as saying no. That's at least being reported. Just takes 2 more teams to say no and they don't get it. A&M and Missouri have no power in the SEC. They do have a vote. Also, from Drum Corps Collection, A&M fan, Texas would ruin the SEC. There's some people that maybe agree with that. We don't know about that. It's my understanding that Texas initiated this move and not Oklahoma from Andrea. From Cliff, Texas could go alone. And he spelled go as in Cajun go. Let's see here. The reason Texas wants to move is because if you look at recruiting, they're losing out on a lot of players in the state of Texas to LSU, Alabama, and Texas A&M. From Brandon, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the SEC votes for both schools and join the SEC. The SEC doesn't usually say we had a majority vote, do they?
No, I don't think they would.
One of the things about them is that they're all in together. This is going to test that a little bit. 11-3 means that you could still invite them and accept them. 10-4, I guess no. What are Mississippi and Mississippi State thinking? Just more money?
I would think so. I don't know. I don't know why this would be necessarily bad for them or changes anything for them. What changes for Mississippi and Mississippi State?
You drop down even another notch or two when it comes
but
to
I mean,
that?
like, do you? I mean, would Vanderbilt be like, no, we're already.
No, Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt,
they got a different mindset.
Yeah.
They got a different mindset. But Mississippi and Mississippi State, I'm just looking at it as options. Does that not knock them down another notch or two?
Does Arkansas
knock Arkansas down?
Arkansas not want them because of that? I mean, I don't know.
That's why it'll be interesting. But I have a feeling in the end that even A&M, if they do accept Texas and Oklahoma into the conference, you wonder if it's going to be they release it as it was unanimous, and then what does A&M do and say to their fan base if that's the case?
Yeah, I think they're just going to have to die. Like if it's 13-1, they'll be like, we voted against it.
One abstained?
Yeah, if they think that's going to go.
Someone just said Alabama is rebuilding. Not on this show, we didn't at all. From a few others, Bama's not scared of playing anyone. Bryce Young, Alabama's defense are going to lights out this year. Alabama's lights out every year. There was a time or two when they have been just average, but not since Nick Saban was there. They weren't like just killing everybody when Saban arrived. When they've had their pockets of inconsistency as well, like Oklahoma has and like Texas has had as well. It's going to be interesting to figure out. What do you think right now if you were to say, when we come back, and I know we have other guests to get to, what do you think, where does Baylor end up? What conference? Not with whom, but if it's a conference with somebody. 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneeredboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Rattler, bootleg action. Now in trouble again. Defensive call. Yeah. But there he is. Through the corner. Touchdown. Theo Weiss. That's Rattler doing Rattler-like things.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
So many different ways to look at this. I brought up those just randomly, the two schools in Mississippi. What do they think? Obviously, a lot of focus on what Texas, Oklahoma, what A&M, we've heard basically from them. What about LSU or Florida, Auburn, whoever? And we're trying to give you as many angles as possible, and some of you are giving your insight on that as well. Ryan Aber joins us, the Daily Oklahoma, the Oklahoman on SicEm365 Radio. Ryan, I know that once the story came out, that there was a lot of confirmation or a lot of, hey, this is a lot more smoke and fire than people realize this is true. What about it when you first heard what was happening?
Yeah, I was stunned by the timing of it and everything else. To see that break yesterday, and honestly wasn't in work mode, and certainly wasn't in college football mode at all in that time. But you snap out of it, start making phone calls, and trying to figure out what's real, what's not, what's happening, and it became very clear, very quickly, that there was certainly some fire behind the smoke, and there's something serious going on here. So it's certainly been an interesting last 25 hours or so at this point, 26. But there's going to be a lot more interesting stuff happen here over these next few weeks for sure, and potentially a whole lot longer than that.
What was the push for Oklahoma to decide to do that? I mean, I know money, but like, was there an instance that made them realize we're never going to make as much money as we want to here?
Oh, I think certainly the disparity between the SEC and the Big Ten to some extent, but certainly the SEC and the other conferences, the Big 12, and the Big 12 had been doing pretty well for itself, and OU specifically with the conference payouts that they've gotten, plus their own network that they've got set up there with Valley Sports Oklahoma that brings them a significant additional money. But I think just seeing what that disparity had become and how much the disparity could even grow if OU and Texas started joining the league, the number I've heard is around $60 million a year that each program could get in the SEC if it expands with those two teams. So the money is the biggest thing. And then I think also the change to the 12-team playoff, and not that that's official yet, but the way that we heard Bob Bowlesby speak about it a week ago certainly had an air of inevitability about it. And if that happens, the move to the SEC becomes a whole lot easier to sell to your coaches, to fans, and things like that, because the chances of making the playoff don't diminish much, if at all, making that move. And when you combine it with the money factor, all of that sort of makes it a no-brainer if you've got the opportunity.
Ryan, do you think that fans, and I know right now they're looking at dollar signs, even though that money doesn't go anywhere near them, they're looking at, prestige, they're looking at the fun road trips and all that, but do you think Texas and Oklahoma fans are going to be quick to grasp onto the reality of potentially, even though this has been the norm for Texas here lately, but losing 3-4 games a year, in the case of Oklahoma not going out and winning the conference every year, do you think that all that other stuff trumps what might be lower expectations moving forward?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think the expectations will be lowered at all. I think the expectations at OU are going to remain: win the conference championship, win a national championship. But I think that among the majority of the fan base, there's going to be a realization that, hey, you're not going to be able to hang the banner every year, certainly the way that you've been able to do over the past 6. But when you do, you're in much better position. And even when you don't, you're in a solid position to be able to make the playoff anyway. So you could combine that with the money factor, with the fact that the SEC would be a major upgrade, and some other sports that OU holds dear, but the rest of the conference has generally struggled in. And I'm talking specifically about softball and women's gymnastics there, that, I think it's a whole lot easier sell than maybe it would appear on the surface.
What do you think Oklahoma State is thinking, besides they were fooled, and secondly, I'm sure they're pretty hurt, bitter, whatever, but what is a legitimate option for them?
Well, the first part of that, what they're thinking is, let's get as much money out of OU and Texas as we can on their way out. And certainly that'll be a major factor in these negotiations that are almost certain to take place around the departure from the conference. Now, I think OSU's in a fairly good position compared to the rest of the other teams in the Big 12. I think they're going to have some options. Whether that's, stay grouped together with this bunch and try to make a move forward in something resembling a Power 5 conference. I think it'd be, I'm not sure if it'll still be considered a Power 5 at that point, or if it'll be sort of a Power, 4.5 or whatever the case may be. But they've also, the Pac-12, I think, is certainly going to be exploring if it makes sense to jump up and add a couple more teams as well. So I think Oklahoma State, with their success really across the board, the donation base that they have, even though Boone Pickens isn't still around, certainly his money has a lasting effect on this program. and some of the other things that they've got. I don't think Oklahoma State is going to be in just an awful position, but certainly they would rather either go with OU or land in another very good spot that's not going to put them at as big of a disadvantage as it would seem on the surface.
Do you think it's better for the conference to try to stay together or for them to mercy kill it and go their separate ways?
I think sort of for each team, that answer is a little bit different. I think there are a couple of teams, Oklahoma State being one of them. I think Kansas being the other, that could have their more attractive options be elsewhere. Now, how do the other schools convince Oklahoma State and Kansas and those guys to band together and stick with those things? And I think they're going to have to be creative about it. And certainly if the conference is able to get a big chunk of money from OU and Texas on their way out the door, that, maybe they use that to try to entice the rest of the conference to stick together, because I think it's going to be hard to keep solidarity between that group of teams. But that's certainly going to be one of the more interesting things to watch is what happens with the other 8 if, in fact, OU and Texas go their own way.
Yeah, the grant of rights could be very expensive, but when you're getting ready to go make $60, $70 million a year, that can be alleviated pretty quickly. Ryan, let's say this now, this pops. It's popped, but it happens. Like, even before football season begins, what's this season going to be like? Oklahoma is still the favorite over Iowa State and whoever else, and Texas is, who you'd never know with them. How angry is it going to be? Kind of, we've been through this about a decade or so ago.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of bitterness, and I think the bitterness that would be there in this break would be even greater than it was the last time around, just because I think it was fairly easy at that point to get on a path, to get to the point of sticking together. I think it's a little bit more difficult this time around with the realities of what's going on and in not only the college football landscape, but in the digital rights and media rights landscape, as you talk about the transition from traditional TV deals to more inclusive ones that include streaming and things like that. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of bitterness, but I think it's in OU's and Texas' best interest to try to lessen that as much as they can, which is why I think there's going to be some pretty hardcore negotiations here to see to try to make this break the cleanest possible and not make it something where you've got lame duck teams for a couple of years or even longer than that until this TV deal ends following the 2024 football season.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate your time. RYABER on Twitter. Ryan Aber with us with the Oklahoman on Oklahoma's side of view and how they're looking at this as well. I've seen a lot